Guys, I have done a lot of crazy stuff throughout my career, but this project has been by far the most stressful, the most time-consuming, yet probably the most rewarding of any professional project I've ever done throughout the years. So I'm gonna go pretty in-depth in this video. I'm not only going to do a full tour, but I'm also gonna flash some before and after footage and share a bit more about what I learned at the end of the video. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's now go and start the full tour. All right, so as soon as you enter, we have the half bathroom here. It's right next to the main entrance. This honestly hasn't changed too much. Probably the major addition we did is that we added in a little storage cabinet underneath the sink. Previously, it was just kind of one large wooden panel. Now we have a lot of extra space for cleaning supplies, and I was really able to optimize this rather small half bathroom space. For the first major area, we have the dining table. So I'm a huge fan of this table, how it came out. This was a 100% custom job by the carpenter on my interior designer's team. Just the wood, the quality, the finishing, I'm really happy with it. Even like the stand, kind of the foundation beneath this main part is really eye-catching. Then of course we have the little fruit basket in the middle. We have this kind of nice boho style lighting fixture directly above the table. And these four nice dining chairs that go around here. So this is perfect for a small family or two couples. I'm really happy with how this space came out. In this first corner, we then have the laundry area. Really the only difference is I now have a washer and dryer as opposed to the last video that you guys saw. It's really nice, I think, to have an in-unit washer dryer. It's not super popular here in Mexico, so very convenient. You also kind of have the little sink right here next to it if you need to do some cleaning or to work on your clothes. And there's also a little light switch as well that really brightens up the space. So really useful corner here in the apartment. Moving on from this space, we then have a couple of these decorations hanging on the wall. It was a pretty empty space when I first purchased this, so I definitely knew I want to add some art or just something to kind of occupy both of these walls. And if we go a little bit further down, we kind of have these three very large cabinets. Again, just kind of my general junk drawer for now. I'm still moving into this place, very much so, but we'll eventually, kind of clean this out so guests can have access to this as well. Some of the cabinets, I'll point out later, we turned into owner cabinets so that the storage is just for me and my friends and family, but this will be accessible for the guests, and they're pretty sizable. They're almost practically floor to ceiling cabinets. Let's continue on now to the kitchen, and we made a ton of changes. I'll kind of throw a little bit of before and after B-roll here, but a couple of things to point out. Obviously, these two hanging lighting fixtures are brand new. Again, kind of more of the boho style. They're somewhat similar to the dining room lighting fixture that we just saw. We then also added in these two high top chairs. So this is nice maybe for breakfast. You can technically, see up to 6 people here if you want to have kind of a little dinner party, but the Airbnb will only allow up to 4 guests to sleep here. But it's still nice to always have some extra chairs. Now, if we go in a little deeper here, obviously all this stuff is brand new. We have this nice water dispenser. Obviously, if you haven't heard, you never want to drink the tap water in Mexico. I honestly wouldn't advise drinking tap water anywhere. You just want to be healthier and, not suscept your body to a lot of the things out there. So this is basically doubly filtering water. I basically put filtered water into here, and I just think it looks nice. It's white. It actually has these stones, these rocks inside of it. I just kind of give it a unique look to it. And then directly next to it, this might be definitely one of my favorite pieces in the entire apartment. This is a Breville espresso machine, and this thing is pretty sick. It has a touchscreen on it with all the different drinks you can select. Everything from espresso to Americano, latte, cappuccino, the list goes on and on. And this thing is very automatic, very intuitive, very smart. It actually grinds the coffee beans for you. You can see up here is kind of the grinder with all the beans and everything. It basically grinds that down for you automatically. It even froths the milk for you if you want to make kind of a fancier latte or a cappuccino. This thing does it all. I've had a lot of fun just coming up with different coffee recipes lately, experimenting. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. So basically my only remaining vice these days is coffee. So I've just been trying out different coffee suppliers, and definitely a very nice add-on, I think, for guests to come here and get their caffeine fix. To wrap up now in the kitchen, so another big thing we changed in this place is we added a lot more lighting in here. So there's actually this whole ring of light that goes all the way throughout the kitchen. You can see the difference here. That's off, that's on. Obviously, it's a major difference, especially when you're cooking, like you're washing dishes. It's very important to see very clearly what you're working on in the kitchen. So that was one of the first things I did when I saw this place, one of the first things I changed. In terms of appliances then, we kind of obviously stuck with the stainless steel approach. This all came with the apartment. This was from the developers. So this I really have a say in, but I've been really happy with it so far. It kind of has this extra, protective shield over it, which is nice. And then kind of right next to you guys, all three of these are brand new. So we have a dishwasher, which is actually extremely, extremely rare in Mexico. Very few places, at least in Mexico City, don't really have them. The last place I was renting here in Mexico City did not have a dishwasher, and the kitchen was maybe like at least a half, if not a third of the size of this. So this has been a godsend going back to having a dishwasher. We also have a pretty simple microwave here, nothing too crazy. It's the same brand as the dishwasher down here. And we just have a pretty normal LG stainless steel freezer and refrigerator. So that is the kitchen. For the other half of this bottom floor, this part was tricky yet exciting at the same time, because this was basically a 100% blank slate when I bought the place. There was nothing that you saw here. It was just all walls. So I knew from the get-go I wanted to have kind of a workstation. I wasn't quite sure where to put it exactly. It's not the largest or the most spacious living room by any means. So we definitely went through a ton of different layouts in terms of where to put the chairs and the sofa and the desk. And luckily we were finally able to make it work by putting the workstation here in the corner. It's a little bit more separated, clearly between the living room here on the left and the workstation, and I like that the workstation is closer to the terrace, the natural light, and all of the plants that are out on the terrace, and also next to the desk area as well. To go into a little more detail now in the desk area. So we initially had just this desk part actually. We did not have any of the shelf space or the wood paneling. And as soon as it was delivered to my place, I was again just kind of left with this like really blank wall that I saw right here. I knew that had to change because obviously I create lots of content, YouTube, social media for the other businesses. I've always dreamed about having like a really cool just backdrop, basically a studio to work in and to produce videos in. And I'm really, really happy with how this came out. So obviously we have the wood paneling, the shelf space. I, again, actually gathered almost all these props myself. So what you see right now is kind of more the Airbnb setup. Sometimes I'm shooting for my other professional endeavors. I'll kind of have more camera gear and drones set up. I'll flash a couple shots from a recent project I was working on, but I'm really happy with how this space came out. But a lot of these props you see here, some of them were sourced from Amazon, some from a store down the road, and of course you have the good old YouTube plaque. Of course, we also have this comfortable leather chair, even kind of add an extra little cushion here, so it's very comfortable. And also, charging stations, being able to plug in your laptop, any of your camera gear, your phone is really important. So I kind of built in this power station right here. It has 3 different outlets in it and kind of 2 different USB connectors. So very simple and easy just to hook everything up when you may need it. And then the last but not least part is with this little remote right here. So you have to kind of point it down here, but we have a couple of LED strips built directly into the desk, the wood paneling up here. We have 3 different sections of LED lights going. And you can change this to any color you might desire. You have to kind of point it down here, but whatever you like. It's pretty neat. They even have this like party mode right here, I always call it, where it flashes like this, which is pretty wild. But it's really great, especially for video production, in my opinion. So again, I'll flash a couple more shots of more of the video production setup and what that looks like. But even if you're just an Airbnb guest and you're just looking for somewhere to work from that is inspiring and cool and trendy looking, I think this is definitely the place to be in Mexico City. We're now in the living room area. So like I kind of mentioned earlier, I went through a million different layouts here in terms of where to put the different furniture pieces. So basically we ended with a couch here. I know it's white, probably pretty risky. We're gonna see what it looks like in like 6 months. I think it really matches with the entire floor or the entire apartment. We have a large ottoman then, of course. You can basically fit, I'd say, about 3 people, maybe even 4 if you guys are all cozy. Here on the couch, and then also in this other area, you have this very, very comfortable leather chair. We even kind of managed to squeeze another table here. Again, this space is a little tight, watch your head, but you can just kind of sit down here with the book in the morning, and this is probably the most comfortable furniture piece, minus the beds, minus the mattresses, I'd say, in the apartment. So that's kind of the furniture setup. After that, we have all of this cabinet space here. So I'll kind of flash some of the before and after, but again, none of this was here previously. We have just a bunch of custom cabinets that we made here. And also these 4 kind of cabinets you see on the bottom, you'll notice kind of locks in this guy, in this guy. That's because the kind of bottom section, that's gonna be for owner cabinets. Because again, it's really important for me to have my own storage. I wanna obviously give guest storage as well, but so that I don't have to essentially move out every time I need to leave the country and put it on Airbnb, I still want to make sure I have my own storage. So a lot going on here though. We have like the subwoofer, we have a couple different vases and art pieces, and then these kind of are, 2 shelves that are more out in the open, but just a lot to work with here, and just I'm really happy, I think, with the quality of these cabinets and how all of this turned out. We then have this wall over here. I call this the 6 cutting boards. This is definitely, I think, a pretty eye-catching assortment of these 6 big, chunky wood pieces. But it's really one of the first things you're gonna see when you walk into this place. We also have some plants, as you are gonna see soon in the terrace. I love my plants. These are kind of especially meant for being inside. These are more interior plants. And then we also have this nice kind of little stool, nice little table here, which is next to the couch. It's kind of like a tree stump. I've seen this type of table in a lot of places I've stayed at. I've always been a huge fan. And I think just the color scheme of this matches perfectly with everything else in this area. For the most fun part now of the living room, we have the surround sound and the 100-inch movie screen projector. So you can see 2 speakers are right here behind me, kind of further up into the ceiling. And now if we go a little bit closer to the screen, we have even more speakers back here. So we have like the subwoofer, excuse my pronunciation. I know you're all gonna comment down below now, but I'm too lazy to look at the pronunciation. We then have kind of the long bar right here in the middle, which really pumps out a lot of the sound here on the front end. And you have 100 inches of glory. I will say I did watch the Super Bowl here back in February, ordered a bunch of wings from Buffalo Wild Wings, and it was freaking epic. It was like, It is so game changing having this. So I'll kind of flash a quick little before clip of this. It was just completely empty space when I got here, and I immediately knew as soon as I saw it, we are putting a movie screen projector here. And now it has all come to fruition. All right, now welcome to by far my favorite part of the entire home, the completely private terrace. This place is just completely loaded with a ton of different amenities, which I'm going to go into a little more detail right now. Okay, it's gonna start over here first. So this is actually the outdoor shower. I didn't originally actually have this in my plans, but it's actually just sanitary, and it's also good for the machines to always be rinsing off before you go into both the cold plunge and the sauna, because they're very expensive and sensitive machines. It's also just really great for the whole contrast therapy, where we're going from very cold in the cold plunge to very hot in the sauna to be kind of rinsing off in between. But it's all very therapeutic. It's very healthy for you. I highly suggest it. Now, this part was definitely tricky to source. I looked for ages on where and how to source a cold plunge in Mexico City. I looked for a while at sourcing one from the US or Canada, and it's just gonna be tricky with like the warranty and the manufacturing, or if something kind of broke. And there's a lot of bad reviews, and I finally landed on these guys. They're called Neural. They actually have a gym and some offices like 5 streets over, so they are local to Mexico. And this thing is just gorgeous. I got very lucky. Actually, the wood matches the same exact type of wood that you see here on the sauna. So these are from 2 different companies, but they just match really well and complement each other. And this thing gets very cold. It's usually about 35 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. I can actually make it even colder if I wanted to, but that would be a little bit extreme. And it self-cleans itself as well. So a lot of other cold plunges you'll see, it'll have like manual ice in it, and you'll have to, dump ice in every time and drain it and add the water. And it takes forever. This thing, it's good to go 24/7. You just take the covers off, you hop in, and you plunge. All right, and here is the sauna. This thing is really powerful. I normally use it at about 90 degrees Celsius, which is like 194 degrees Fahrenheit. And it only takes like 5 to 10 minutes to heat up. It's pretty crazy. And so this is meant to fit up to 2 people in total. You kind of have 2 benches. There's then also the furnace, the heater in this one side. And I even actually installed this nice little like sauna timer, so you can see how long you're inside for, if it's 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. The last little part, it's pretty cool. They're actually built in here underneath this little kind of backrest, is you can turn on these LED lights, and you can change the color to pretty much whatever color you want. And you can have a party in the sauna. It's pretty neat. And now for the last section of the terrace, there's a few other items to point out. Of course, we have the lovely waterfall. I literally bought this off of Amazon. It was like $300, I think. So this is really a steal. Very easy to set up. You just plug it into the outlet. Then of course here you have your grill. This is a nice stainless steel char-broil grill. I think I mentioned it already. There's actually a second grill as well on the rooftop. So we'll go and check that out as well. But you do have 2 grill options if you choose to stay here. And then we just have the 2 nice outdoor chairs and a small table. These are actually also foldable. So maybe if you want a little bit more space and you're doing yoga or something like that first thing in the morning, you can actually fold up the chairs just like this and lay them against the wall or something like that. Right next to the cold plunge behind me, we then have a plant wall. So this did not come with the property. I installed this, and there's maybe like 70, 80 extra little small plants that are living up this wall. It just adds even more greenery, as if there isn't already enough to this entire terrace. And right next to me, I think I mentioned this in the before video, the last apartment video, this is an artificial plant wall, because it goes literally all the way to the top of the building. It's like 6 floors tall, and it would be just an absolute nightmare to try and maintain something like this. And last but not least for this section, if if you look up a little bit more, you'll see all these string lights. We put about 3 or 4 different lines of string lights, and this place looks especially really magical at night when you have the waterfall going and the string lights out. Maybe you turn on the lights to the sauna. It feels just like super cozy, and yet you're right in the heart of Mexico City, the largest city in North America. So this is really just your little private oasis away from all the hustle and bustle. But yeah, that's everything for the terrace. So we're now gonna go more back inside to the interior and continue with the rest of the tour. It's time now to head to the second floor. So we're gonna go up the incredible staircase. I think that this staircase is a real statement piece in itself. It's basically a floating staircase. You do kind of have this drop off right here. So I'm not trying to have young kids staying here or anything. Yeah, it really catches your attention, I think, as soon as you walk into this place. Still on the staircase, we then have this gorgeous art piece, which is the center of attention here when you're walking up. So it actually does say the address right here. I'm gonna blur that out and not say that so that I don't give out my address and have random people coming to my home. But I think the color scheme of this, the texture, definitely matches with the overall vibe of the rest of the apartment. And we even have a nice little spotlight up here as well. So anyways, let's continue up the stairs now and go to the second floor. At the top of the staircase, we then have these 2 doors. These lead to the 2 bedrooms. We're gonna go through this door first, which leads to the guest bedroom. Welcome to the first of 2 bedrooms. This is the one on the left. This is the slightly smaller guest bedroom. And we have a queen-sized mattress in here. I went to a ton of different mattress and bedding stores. It's very important, in my opinion, to have an extremely comfortable bed if you're going to an Airbnb or a short-term rental. Couple other things to point out. I love these really nice hanging decorative lights on either side of the bed. We also have this kind of boho style art piece directly above the bed, and I really love this wall. We used a couple different, colors and textures here. It's really a unique piece, I think, especially when you couple it up here with the lighting in the ceiling. It's a really nice accent wall. Now, other thing to point out here, if we go in this direction, you can actually directly access the balcony from here. You can actually access this via either of the 2 bedrooms. We just have a stool out here and a couple of plants, nothing too crazy, because if you're gonna hang out on the exterior, you're gonna do it downstairs in the private terrace. But this is nice for your morning cup of coffee or tea, and we have, 3 large leafy green plants to add some more color to this area. Now we're in the other corner of the same room. We have a lot of storage. This is a really tall vertical cabinet. It's perfect for luggage, if you hang up any of your dresses or suits, anything like that. Then you have a bunch of drawers right here to my left. And of course, we have the very large walk-in closet. I'd say for the amount of square footage in this place, we actually have a pretty decent amount of storage. So I'm not gonna go into here. This is the in-suite bathroom. So it's very convenient. You don't have to, walk downstairs or to another area of the apartment. It's like literally right next to your bed. So a couple of changes we made in this bathroom. So we actually added in this brand new mirror you can see right here. It used to just be kind of a boring, larger mirror that took up most of this wall. You can turn this thing on and off. I've seen a bunch of these in some fancier hotels and Airbnbs. It's really great also, especially for the ladies, if they want to put their makeup on, or maybe if the men have to shave, something like that. And we just have a couple more decorations here, soap dispenser, toothbrush, basic stuff, and then also the shower as well. The shower is a little tricky. I'll admit the lighting in here when I first purchased the place was quite dark. So we actually added in another light directly in the shower, which helped immensely. It used to be really dark in there when you used to showers. So definitely a lot of lighting improvements in the bathroom. Let's go directly across the hall now to the second half of the top floor. So this is the master bedroom. It's a somewhat similar layout to the guest bedroom. We just have a slightly bigger bed here. So we have a king size mattress here. The other one kind of had some, lighter colors to it. This has some slightly darker colors. This is kind of like a navy blue cover. the pillows as well and the art piece above. And then we have some similar hanging light decorations. Probably the biggest difference here is this area. So we do have a 55-inch smart TV. So in addition to the massive movie screen, movie theater downstairs, you also have this if you want some more privacy. I also turned these into owner cabinets because it's really important, I think, that even when I'm away, even when I'm out of the country, to still have storage for just me, my friends, family, just our personal items can stay here. So we kind of customized this. We added a lock and we can store our things here and not worry about guests going through them. And now finally in this corner, there's a few other items to point out. We had this kind of unique wavy mirror, and this last section I'm very personally proud of. So my interior designers did do obviously the majority of all of the design work you've seen. However, a lot of the shelf space, the props, items like that, I actually purchased myself. So this is kind of a combination of items from Amazon. We actually also bought a few of these pieces, like the two kind of funny white faces you see from an art and sculpture store in Valle de Bravo. It's about a 2 to 3 hour drive from here in Mexico. And actually some of these other pieces like the candles, it's from a store called Rufina, which is literally like a 5-minute walk from here in Condesa. Shout out to Rufina. They have some really cool pieces. I could shop there all day. So a lot of the props you'll also see from there. Also with some games, some books, and these are just kind of some fun card games for the guests. So lots of stuff going on here. Another quick thing to point out, again, I mentioned earlier, you can access this balcony from either of the bedrooms. So we kind of saw it previously from the guest bedroom, but you can see it again from this angle. So, you kind of have this, support right here, but if you go a little bit further down, here is then the stool and the same plants that we saw earlier from the guest bedroom. Let's continue on now to the final 2 rooms in this property. So this leads to the walk-in closet. It honestly hasn't changed that much since you guys last saw it. And right behind me is now the master bathroom. So it's very similar to the guest bathroom. It's just slightly larger. You have a little bit more of storage space. We have these 2 kind of glass shelves in the corner, and then we also have the mirror. It's quite similar to the one we saw in the guest bathroom. And it actually has 3 different color options. So you kind of have the white version right now, then you have more of a warm color, a blue color. So whatever color your heart desires, you can use it to do your makeup or shave or just get ready in the morning. All right, so we're now on the rooftop. This is a shared space, but there's only actually 5 other tenants in the entire building. So it's not usually occupied up here. I really like my building because I don't have a ton of neighbors. It feels almost like an entirely private home at times. But when you come up, you have a pretty simple outdoor dining table here. There's 3 chairs around it, and you actually have 2 grill options. So somebody from my building just installed this really nice grill here. It's called the Big Green Egg, which I think is a great name. And if you kind of look off here into the distance, you have a pretty decent view of the surrounding area. All right, so now welcome to the surrounding area. This is literally like half a block or a 60-second walk from the house. This is called Avenida Amsterdam or Amsterdam Avenue. This is one of my favorite streets in the entire city of Mexico City. It is so green and leafy and beautiful. And way back in the day, it actually used to be a racetrack, and they since converted it into a walking and running path. And it goes for a little over 1 mile. And there are just restaurants, stores, everything you could possibly imagine on either end. All right, for example, this is one of the many stores that is within a 1 to 2 minute walk from the home. This spot is called Mora Mora. I kind of joke it's like the Whole Foods of Mexico City. There's a ton of healthy options. There's takeaway. It has like a mini grocery store for any of the essentials. And there's even then a Walmart that's 2 blocks in the opposite direction. So you have a ton of options within a 2 minute walking distance of the home. All right, here is one of the many restaurants close to the home. This spot is called Mackay. It is insanely popular, especially on the weekends. They have a couple locations throughout the city. I'm a huge fan of their baked goods. I'll come maybe every week or so, and I'll pick up a pastry first thing in the morning. Everything is very, very delicious. I highly recommend this spot. And finally, welcome to Parque Mexico. This is a short walk from the home as well, and it's a pretty decent size for a city. They have a couple of different sections, but you have everything just lined with trees and bushes. There's paths all around. There's even a couple of sections specifically for dogs, and there's one area I love on the weekends. They're always doing salsa classes. So there's just so much greenery and parks, and everything is super clean in Mexico City. It's a big reason of why I chose to live here. So what are a few of the key takeaways or learning lessons from this project? Number one is that any project like this is gonna take a heck of a lot longer than you initially anticipated. When I first closed on this place, I was trying to get it designed, up and running, the systems in place on Airbnb in about 1 month. I closed in November and I was trying to have it all completed by Christmas. Now I'm just looking back on that and laughing hysterically at past Mike. There is always going to be delays or something that comes up or an issue with the supplier. So whenever you set an initial completion date, add maybe, I'd say at least 3 months to that, because it's gonna take longer, trust me. Number two is that I wish I had researched and looked more into appliances when I purchased them. I let somebody on my team take the lead on this because I was quite overwhelmed at the time, and I really just went for the name brand appliance that would get the job done, and that had a nice discount. Here in Mexico, they have something called Buen Fin, which is basically the equivalent of Black Friday in America. So I got a great deal, but I honestly had a lot of issues with my appliances in terms of the quality and just things breaking a lot. So I would have much more thoroughly researched my appliance options. And number three, it's quite affordable to do. I wish I'd hired more of a project manager to represent my side of this entire process, because it got very, very mentally draining having to constantly schedule people, contractors showing up late, keeping track of different suppliers. Just in terms of pure scheduling, it was very difficult and kind of consumed my life for a couple of months. So I kind of wish I'd hired somebody earlier. I do have somebody in place now that is immensely helpful, but just coordinating all the different appointments and the schedules and all of that, I would have taken care of that much earlier in the process if I had to do this over again. If you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your support and for making it this far. I'm obviously very personally and emotionally attached to this project and to this property. It's not just going to be a full-time Airbnb. It is my primary residence where I plan on living for the majority of the year. If you want to potentially book this spot for your next trip to Mexico, or just to see the listing photos and what I poured my heart and soul into for the past almost year, check on the link down in the video description to go and view the listing on Airbnb. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you very soon for another Airbnb tour.